Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Across the Stages podcast brought to you by Absolute Motorsport TV. I'm James Casey, and joining me today is Joshua Suttle, and we're going to be talking through the final rally of the season, Rally Australia, the Decider Down Under as it was known, and the championship was won by Sebastian Ogier in the end, with Toyota claiming the Manufacturers' Championship. Thanks to a Jari Matti Latvala win. And, there was so much hype about this event, and unfortunately it was sort of decided on Friday how things were going, but there was a high degree of tension throughout the whole rally, and in the end, the final championship was decided on Sunday morning with a few incidents, which we will talk about later. But of course, Sebastian Ogier, world champion for a sixth time in a row, and what an incredible comeback to win that.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps his greatest one so far, I think, of his career. You know, his second one with M Sport, but he faced such difficult opposition from both Neville at Hyundai and Tanak as well at Toyota. The championship's probably more competitive than it's ever been. And this is the first time that it's actually gone down to the wire when Ogier's won it. So I think undoubtedly his toughest one so far. But he's come out on top. And like you said on Friday, pretty much by the afternoon, we were pretty confident it was going to be him that was going to be winning it. I mean, it just kind of proves that in those kind of situations, he is absolutely the man to beat. When the pressure's on and when everything's on the line, it's Ogier that triumphs.
Yeah, and of course that was helped as well by his teammates on Friday. So it was Neville, obviously, who got that puncture on Friday, lost a minute, dropped to the back of the field, because Neville and Ogier were both running quite low anyway, due to their road position. But that dropped Neville down to the back, and then Ogier got a few cars between him, thanks to the M Sport guys, Timo Sundman and Elfyn Evans. And I think it was a real team game, wasn't it, to help Ogier to get into that position. And I think they can all be pretty happy with the job that they've done to help him in Australia.
And throughout the season, really, I mean, we saw pretty early on, Evans sort of sacrificing his position for Ogier. I think it was Sweden, wasn't it, that he gave him sort of 10th place. They were thinking that early on to do that. So they've definitely been more switched on as a unit, as a team. Whereas you look at somewhere, especially Hyundai, they've definitely been the weakest in terms of the teammates helping out Neville. Toyota as well, they do a pretty good job. They were willing to swap Latvala and Tanak, had Tanak stayed in the rally. So, I think a really, really good stuff from Ogier and just the whole M Sport team. It's a real underdog story, I think. For them to beat the big manufacturers with big backing, it's another good story for them. And it's a shame that they're parting next year. But when Ogier goes to Citroën, I mean, he's going to start their year as favourite, isn't he? I think again, and he could become the first man, or certainly the first driver in a very long time, maybe ever, to win with 3 different manufacturers.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think there might be one person who's done it, but that, as you said, it was absolutely years and years and years ago. But yeah, Ogier, it's obviously a pretty emotional time, wasn't it? On that Sunday morning, fantastic scenes. Malcolm Wilson embracing Ogier, getting very tearful as he went off for the final few stages, and you can tell that there's a real bond between Ogier and M Sport, and they've really done an incredible job together. Sad to see them parting, but it is good that we're going to be seeing a new challenge. I've just got a few comments here actually that I saw just before we did this, just before we started actually, from Autosport about Ogier saying about M Sport. I've never heard someone speak so highly about a team. He said that he described it as like leaving a girl that you love. And about Malcolm Wilson, he says that he's a special man, a great human, and the best boss. And he said basically that he would do absolutely everything to give Ogier the best. And he praised his passion for the sport and everything. So just incredible, really, how intertwined they've become in 2 years. And I think that's just really nice to see, personally.
Definitely, I mean, a huge success story as well there. Like I said, a really, really good job from both of them. And it's quite rare that you sort of see a driver leave a team or announce that they're leaving a team and then still say, actually, I quite like to stay with them next year. It's going to be really, really tough to leave them. So, yeah, I really like how that's ended. And I think it's ended on a very positive note between the two of them and between Ogier and the whole team. It's not a case of M Sport doing a bad job or Malcolm Wilson doing a bad job or his teammates doing a bad job. It's literally just a case from what I've seen, but it's, Ford not willing to give the backing. The big bosses miles away from the actual team, not willing to put the hand in the pocket, and that's obviously what's led to Ogier moving to Citroën. And I just hope that M Sport gets someone decent. If not for next year, then I'm sure Malcolm Wilson will have a plan because I think we look back on that 2017 scoop rather of getting Ogier for that season as probably one of the greatest sort of driver moves of all time in terms of the team principle making the difference. So full credit to him and the team for what they've achieved over the past couple of years.
Yep. And then, of course, we had the equal success from Toyota, wrapping up the Manufacturers' Championship. And this one wasn't in too much doubt. It could have gone to Hyundai, but such is Toyota's competitiveness, it would have been a real surprise had they thrown this one away. But they did it in the end. Jari-Matti Latvala winning the rally, and that was enough for them to claim the Manufacturers' Championship. Just their second year back, and how quickly they've progressed, I think, is just astonishing.
Absolutely, it's such an impressive achievement. I think if you take these standings for the second half of the season after Sardinia, I'm pretty sure Tanak and Latvala will absolutely be 1 and 2 in the championship. It was such an impressive run, I think, from both Tanak and Latvala in the second half of the year. They had great performances as well in the first half. They were great, to be honest, from the start of last year. I mean, they won on the second ever rally, but this year they've taken a major step, and I think next year they just need that one more step, and then they'll be, I think, easily the team to beat, to be honest. Because as I said, in the second half, they've been pretty dominant, really. Across the rallies, they really could have won all 6 of these rallies between Tanak and Latvala. And maybe, what do you think, James? Do you think Latvala maybe could even be a championship contender for next year? Such as the sort of performance of that Toyota, and such as the performance of Jari-Matti as well on rallies like this one.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I wouldn't have thought in a month of Sundays I'll be saying that at the mid-season, but yeah,
Yes.
Incredible. He's turned it around. He looks probably the best that I've. I haven't really followed rally that closely until last year, but I did watch it a little bit in the past.
I think we could say.
Yeah, I think he is back to his best.
Absolutely, better, I think, than any time he was at Volkswagen, really. So it's great to see that side of Latvala. Even though, again, he's in that sporting role, he seems to have a bit more sort of fire and freedom, I guess, currently. And he deserved the win, didn't he? Because it would have been a crying shame if we'd have got to the end of the year and he wouldn't have got a win after all that's happened. After what we saw in GB as well with that incredible performance. And this one was pretty special as well, but not without incident. I mean, it didn't look like he was going to win it at one point, did it? He certainly had to bring it back.
Yeah, it was a pretty closely fought rally, thankfully, which was good to see, and plenty of changes throughout the rally that will, I suppose, we'll get into that specifics later. But I think first we need to mention the people that have missed out, of course. So we've spoken about Ogier and Toyota, but we cannot not mention Thierry Neuville and what an incredible job he's done this season. And a very cruel way for his championship to end, as he hit a tree, lost a wheel, couldn't finish the rally, and a real shame after, I think, his best season in the sport.
Absolutely. I mean, really unlucky on Friday, I think, especially. And then obviously on Sunday, he just absolutely gave it everything. So full credit to him. He had nothing else to lose. He just absolutely went for it. And you could sort of tell it was pretty inevitable, but it was going to go off the road. But he sort of gave it everything. So it's just full marks for him. But yeah, a particularly great first half of the year. After Monty, even, I thought that, it could be quite a good year for Ogier, and it might be difficult for anyone to match him, but he hit straight back in Sweden. And then, of course, I think one of the highlights of the year, of course, was Sardinia, that power stage, beating Ogier head-to-head. I think that gave not only him a big hope, but basically the whole of the grid, including, Oyt Tanak as well, that actually Ogier can be beaten. He can be beaten over a season as well, not just on one stage. And Neuville and Tanak so nearly showed that this year. They got really close, didn't they? And really, if just a few little things went the other way, then James would be talking about either Neville or Tanak as the 2018 champion.
Yeah, certainly. I did think that, as you say, that Italy moment, for me, that was when I thought that this was Neville's championship. And I thought that until Tanak started closing in, then I thought it was his.
Yeah.
And then obviously, of course, it changed in the last three rallies towards Ogier. But yeah, I think Neville for a long period of time looked like the man, and just tailed off a little bit, didn't he? Performance-wise, he was still there.
The second half, yeah.
Yeah, still there finishing the rallies, which I think is the main thing that I see as a big improvement from 2017. He was still there finishing the rallies, but just didn't quite have the performance that allowed the others to close in, which was a bit of a shame. And I think Hyundai have got a little bit of work to do on their car, because they were definitely the pace setters last year. And I think at points they were possibly the slowest car at some events. I think not most of the time, but at some events towards the end of the season, they were probably struggling performance-wise compared to Citroen and M Sport.
Absolutely, and definitely Toyota. I mean, they were left in the dust by them, so
Yeah.
it's a lot of work to them because obviously Neville's performances did dip in the second half, but that was sort of reflected by his teammates as well. So, like you say, it's probably maybe a bit more of a problem with Hyundai than sort of Neville himself, sort of losing this championship. So yeah, really close though, and like you say, his best season, yeah.
Right, and then also Tanak, who was mid-season, not even thought of as a title contender. He was nowhere. And then, of course, he won three rallies and should have really won the next three, and then he would have taken the championship. But just a mixture of bad luck and a little bit as well his own mistakes towards the end of the season cost him. But I think that was a fantastic. A fantastic season from Tanak, and overall I think he'll be pretty happy and so encouraged going into next year.
I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I think he is my driver of the season, to be honest. He's just been fantastic this year. He's absolutely led that team. He's clicked with them pretty much since day one. He's looked absolutely on it. He's pushed Ogier and pushed Neville all the way. I mean, he almost just did his own thing in the second half of the year. He just won rally after rally. Like you said, I think there's about 5 rallies he probably should have won this year. Definitely 4, and if just like I said again, if little things changed, then he'd absolutely be champion. So for me, he starts next year, along with Ogier, as pretty much joint favourite because he certainly ended this season in such a strong way, and it's just a shame that he's only got third place to show for it. But I don't think it's going to make too much difference, to be honest. They've got the momentum, he's got the skill, he's proven that now, and there are no doubts that he's going to be up there, I think, for quite a few years to come.
Yeah, I think we have really seen the definitive people who are going to follow in Ogier's footsteps now, which we didn't quite have in the past. And I think it's changed to a certain extent. Some of the names that you would have said a couple of years ago have changed quite a bit. So
even last year, I think. Addison Nicholson last year, now he's out of that. And I definitely wouldn't have said Tanak 2 or 3 years ago. And maybe you'd put Evans on a par with Tanak a couple of years ago, and now look at the difference in performance between those two. So, like you say, it can all change, and I'm sure it could probably change again. It could be a couple of years' time, and it could be turn on its head again.
Yeah, so that is, of course, how the championship played out. But we did have an interesting rally, as I was saying. Unfortunately, that was a secondary kind of, let's focus on the championship, and we didn't really see that much of how the rally was playing out. Obviously, we had Citroen leading 1-2 at the end of day one, and that was a very good day for them. Obviously, road position helping them, but really good day for them. Unfortunately, their rally kind of tailed off, though, didn't it, with Breen. Crikey, what on earth went wrong with him? He was spinning pretty much every stage on Sunday. He had some kind of moment. Really a shame for him, and Osberg tailed off a little bit, but overall that was quite good for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean he's still got a podium, so that's pretty good going. What is the only second one of the season? Yeah, second one.
Yeah.
So he got second in Finland. So yeah, a good job from both of them. But I guess it's just kind of evident of why they need someone like OJ, why they need someone like that. They need that person who's really gonna drive home that result. Because both of them, Oxberg and Breen, do great jobs and they really put in some good stage times. But over that course of the rally, I think we've seen from both of them this year, but they often sort of tail off towards the end. But yeah, I think a good performance from both of them. And I think on Friday night, right, when they were 1-2, I don't think anyone sort of believed that was going to stay
No.
until Sunday, unfortunately.
No, I think that was. I thought one of them might stay up there, which of course Osberg did.
Mhm.
Although I personally thought it was going to be Breen that was going to stay up there, but yeah, yeah, just a shame about Breen's mistakes, and obviously he's still hasn't got anything yet for next year, so bit of an emotional time for him at the stage end on the
Well,
final
both of them,
stage.
of course, as well.
Yeah,
Osberg as
Osberg,
well,
yeah.
even with that podium. I mean, he's always pretty happy anyway, isn't he? So
Yeah,
I'm sure a pop back up. But this is a good way to end the year, I think. I think it's for both of them really, in terms of looking for that sort of drive. And I guess talking of that, we can talk about Hayden Paddon as well, because
mm,
second place, that's his best result of the year. It actually puts him above Sordo in the championship. I guess a
yeah.
little helped by other people's incidents, but I thought it was a pretty solid effort from him. A really good rally to end the year. I guess it was his home rally, you could almost say. It's certainly the one that's closest to him anyway.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a fantastic rally by Hayden Paddon. I think he's reminded a lot of people of the Hayden Paddon of old. He himself said that the previous results that he got this season were helped quite a bit, but this one he felt like he was right up there, and he got stronger as the rally went on. I think, and by the end, his confidence was absolutely brimming, and that was really good to see. As you say, really interesting that he's beaten Sordo in the championship, because all the talk this season was, isn't Sordo doing a brilliant job? And he did. He did do a brilliant job, but Paddon scored the points. And yeah, I think that with scoring points and then showing his real speed again this weekend, I think he's reminded a lot of people of his talents. But I do think, however, he's still going to end up with a part-time season next season. But a lot of people now talking about possibly extending that. But what do you reckon on that one?
Yeah, it looks like they're going to split the seat again, doesn't it? But I mean, I would prefer Paddon to go to M Sport. I think that would be nice for him. I think to get a different environment, to really be sort of not just a part season. He deserves a full time seat because there is such good potential there. Sordo, I think apparently he just wants a half season, so he doesn't want to
Yeah,
do
yeah,
commit to a full season. So that works for him, and he's shown really really good pace this year. Again, if little things came together, then he could have got a win this year. So yeah, I think it probably works best for the both of them if they're part time next year. But like I said, I would like to see Paddon move away from the team and get a full time seat at M Sport.
and of course Paddon he had a very strong rally, and he was the man that was putting the pressure on the Toyotas. He said that he couldn't quite match them, but he was there putting the pressure on the Toyotas, and ultimately, I think in a way, he kind of decided the course of the rally, because Oyt Tanak and Jari-Matti Latvala are very close on the road, but Toyota didn't want to move them too early, didn't want to move one car back behind Latvala, back behind Tanak too early, because of how close Paddon was behind. And I think ultimately that's what led to Tanak pushing pretty hard, then going over, I think he went over a couple of bumps, a couple of harsh impacts again, another rally in jeopardy because of harsh impacts, and then the corner after that he went off, and I'm not sure whether it was because of damage caused by the impacts or whether it was just a coincidence, but in the end that kind of decided the rally, with Paddon being close and Tanak having to push. It was a bit strange though. I was surprised that was how it played out, to be honest.
Absolutely, it was. You didn't know what the order was going to be. I think throughout Sunday. I mean, like you said, most people's eyes were on the championship, but the rally order was just changing stage after stage. So yeah, quite a bizarre one. But I guess good job they didn't make a big switch for Latvala to drop behind Tanak,
Mm.
because obviously Paddon could have ended up winning the rally, and Toyota would have been left without that win. So a good management of tactics, I guess. But maybe Tanak pushed a little bit too hard. I know he's going for the championship, but I don't know. I feel like both Neville and Tanak maybe should have just brought it home, but I guess they're rally drivers after all. They just wanted to go for it.
Yeah, but Latvala then what was the man? Tanak was there, obviously but they made the mistake. But Latvala trouble free through to the end, and as we said, just kind of been waiting for this rally win really, and finally put it together. And I suppose we did speak about it earlier, but I'll just mention how happy he was to win, which was very nice to see on the podium. I think I've never seen a rally driver so happy with a win that hasn't resulted in a championship.
Absolutely. I mean, it proves he's absolutely still motivated. He's only actually 33. I always sort of feel he's older than that because he seems to have such a sort of mature way of looking at stuff. But then he also has this sort of childish passion as well, which is really, really good to see. So, yeah, a great way for him to end the season. And as I said before, I mean, it would be criminal for him not to get a win from the second half of the year. He's been driving brilliantly. So, very well deserved and a real battling drive from him. And you really had to do that to win this rally, which was, as I said, changing all the time.
So there we go. That is Rally Australia, and that is the season. Final words on just the sport itself. What a fantastic season. And I put on Twitter the other day that it's probably up there in terms of the top 3 seasons of any motorsport that I've followed since about 2011 or so, and I just thought it was an incredible season, and especially with the all live coverage as well. I just thought it was great and a really good advert going forward.
I think it's the best season probably of any motorsport this year. I'd say it's right up there. Like you said, if you take in the TV deal as well, the way they managed to set that up. I mean, we had the foundations for this laid last year when they had the big regulation change. And I mean, boy, that's really paid off. That's absolutely saved the championship. It was not looking in good health at the end of 2016, really. And, Volkswagen left, obviously, and then there was only really two manufacturers, but it all changed around in it because now it's looking like one of the sort of the most healthy championships out there. There's talk of even Skoda joining. There's talk of a few other manufacturers interested as well. So it's really, really booming, and we've got this top line talent as well. I mean, at the end of the day, you can have as many manufacturers as you want. You can have as many exciting rallies as you want. But I guess the championship is nothing without an exciting title battle. And James, I guess that's what we got this year, wasn't it? We thought it was going to be OJ, then we thought it was going to be between OJ and Neville, and then Tanak comes in there, makes it a 3-way fight, and even though we didn't get the power stage of Australia deciding it, we did take it down to the last round for the first time in a very long time. So I think we can be very, very happy with this season, and that title battle certainly helped.
Yeah, just it was just unpredictable, wasn't it? As you say, and I think that is what has been lacking in the past, and
meaning
what
as well,
really needed.
Yeah, I think 2016 we had so many different winners. We had more winners in 2016, I think, than this year. But it didn't really mean anything because OJ was still getting the title. It felt a bit fabricated because of the road position and that. But this year, it feels like the top 3 drivers in the series have finished in the top 3 places. So we can kind of feel like a bit of justice has been done, and really any of those 3 drivers would have deserved the title.
So there we go then. And that isn't quite the end of our coverage for this season. We will be doing a few little special episodes to round off the season, and also if there's any kind of driver news, because the driver market still isn't done, we might bring some discussions about that as well. But yeah, not sure when those will be coming, but it has been a pleasure to talk through this season, and in terms of just normal kind of podcast, we will be back in 2019, and we've hopefully planned to do a few extra things with the series, so I hope that you join us again then. But
I do as well. Sorry,
yep.
James, I've just got to have the final word, I'm afraid, because we have forgot to mention one person, and I'd like to dedicate this podcast to him. It is, of course, Jordan Serradeus, who finished 10th in the rally, took the final point. And all I can say, I think, to finish this podcast is, I hope Valery Gorban comes next year. Yeah, I hope he comes back. And hopefully Gorban and Serradeus can continue their rivalry into 2019. I've been Joshua Suttle. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.